What is up, guys? Dzeeff here, and today is a very exciting and sort of a sad day as well, because this is the last video that I have from all the product that I bought in Pasadena back during the YCS. Today we are opening a first edition, yes, first edition starter deck Pegasus, and this holds a very special place in my heart, because this is actually the very first starter deck that I ever got as a child. So this was like the first sort of deck that I played as a Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist, and that's been really exciting to go through here and look at all the old cards that I used to use in my like middle school decks. I also want to mention here that these aren't super expensive. I mean, if you think back when I opened that starter deck Kaiba Unlimited version, that's like worth like over $100 for the Unlimited, and then like up to $1,000 for the first edition. This one, not so much. So the Unlimited one is less than $100, and the first edition is barely over $100. So not nearly as sort of crazy expensive as you would expect for this very, very old starter deck from 2003. Regardless, I still think it's a very exciting product, and I can't wait to open it for you guys to see. This product is extremely nostalgic for me, maybe one of the most nostalgic products out there from Yu-Gi-Oh! As far as my own childhood goes. So I hope you guys enjoy as I go through here and sort of relive some of my original Yu-Gi-Oh! Moments. And here it is, the original starter deck Pegasus from 2003 first edition. We got the old Konami logo up there, pretty fun to look at nowadays. And this thing is pretty exciting. You know, as I said, I'm very nostalgic for this particular starter deck. I actually haven't opened one of these since that original one that I had from way back in the day. I think if you even watch like one of my old videos where I find my like 15-year-old collection, you can see some of the cards from this starter deck in that collection. I believe I have a Relinquish in there. And also, I'm pretty sure this Relinquish, we'll take a look when we open it here, but I think that Relinquish is the one that actually doesn't have the ritual summoning requirements on it, because there's not enough space in the actual text box. Back then they weren't as good at writing cards, so this one's very poorly written, and it doesn't actually include how to summon it. Pretty funny, we'll take a look at that in a second. So on the back here on this very old product, it says the classic opening line for all these old packs. In ancient Egypt, there existed a force so powerful it had to be locked away for millennia. Now one boy has released the power, it's time to duel. And then it gives you some sort of description of Yu-Gi-Oh! There, and it lets you know there's also a Joey version that you can sort of play against this deck. And each one-player deck includes 47 common cards, 3 foil cards. I believe we have 1 ultra rare and 2 super rares, and then we have 1 rulebook and 1 classic game mat with that fusion deck on the side there. So take a look at that in a second. Okay, so without further ado, let's just open this up. And I know some people, every time I open these old products up on the last couple of videos, especially the stuff that I bought from Pasadena that's more collector's items, I always get comments from people saying, well, why don't you just keep it sealed? You know, these are collector's items after all, it's going to lose all the value when you open it. And that is absolutely true. This will lose all of its value immediately when you open it. And also look how faded and sun bleached that Relinquish is. That looks really, really weird. The old ritual monster just looks very strange because it's so old and also a little bit sun bleached. We'll take a look at that when we open it. But the reason is that what good does it do you guys if I just say, okay, here's my starter deck Pegasus first edition, and anyway, that's the end of the video, see you guys later. It's like, that doesn't help anyone. If you guys come here to actually see the starter deck be open, you know, if I want I have some collector's items that aren't to be opened, but the ones that I buy, like this one, these were bought to be opened for the channel. So hopefully you guys can appreciate that I'm not just using these to sit on a shelf somewhere forever, but I'm actually using them so you guys can see what these look like. I think if you like flip through like just briefly this really, really old rulebook from 2003 and then compared it to like a modern rulebook, it wouldn't be that different. I mean, these diagrams look very, very similar, and obviously the rulings are different. Obviously you have some new cards and stuff, pendulums and links and exceeds and synchros, all those types of cards, but I don't think it looks that different. It's actually kind of crazy how similar those rulebooks look. Here's the game mat, the classic game mat. We actually, I just looked at one of these in that collection that someone gave me. I mentioned that a couple weeks ago. We have the classic fusion deck zone. That is a really weird Konami logo on there. That is like a halfway point between this old logo and the new one. Yeah, this stuff already looks faded right out of the box. Pretty funny stuff. I actually really like, I mean, it's a real shame that you can't really use them because they're just paper mats. I mean, you could use them, but no one's really going to do that. I'm sure someone does that. I mean, I did it back in the day, but it's a real shame you can't use the paper mats, or most people don't use paper mats because they just kind of like break apart after like one game or one match. Because a lot of the new ones, I mean, ever since they've started, it's been a while now, but ever since they started putting monster cards on the mats, I think they actually make it look a lot cooler. So why does this card have a huge crease on the back. This is completely sealed, and it already has a giant... Do all the cards have that? No, just this last card is like already damaged right out of the packaging. Thanks 2003 Konami, you didn't package these very well. So we have this very sun bleached, as I said, relinquished, and look at that text. That is insane. Oh my gosh, look at how small that is. And like I said, it does not mention how to summon this card, which is hilarious. I mean, obviously it's a blue card, and if you think about it, you know, synchros and link monsters and exceeds monsters, they don't really say like how to actually summon them. You know, with synchros and links and all those cards, they do say like the material, but they don't say like, oh, for synchros, summon to the graveyard. They don't say for exceeds monsters to overlay the cards. It's just sort of inherent to the card. So with these early ritual monsters, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't say how to summon it, because most people can figure out that you're supposed to use the included ritual spell card with this card. But it's kind of funny. Technically, this card doesn't say like, oh, you can't just normal summon it. So hopefully the people that bought this, I don't know if I did back in the day, but hopefully people actually read the rule book to figure out how to summon this thing. I can't remember if I really used Relinquish that much. I think this card was just way too complicated back when I first started Yu-Gi-Oh! But that's there, and pretty funny as well, just looking at how weird that text looks. It's just so tiny. The modern versions of Relinquished obviously have a lot more legible sort of text. You can actually see that they're problem-solving card text with the updated version, so it's good to know that eventually, after 15-20 years, Konami did figure out how to write Relinquish in a way that's actually readable for the average person. For the other two super rares here, we have Graceful Charity. Draw 3 cards from your deck, then discard any 2 cards from your hand. A magic card, of course, because this is 2003 Yu-Gi-Oh! And, oh man, still one of, if not the best banned card as far as generic banned cards go. There's actually a pretty big debate about whether or not Graceful Charity is better than Pot of Greed. They're both so strong in so many different ways, but I don't know, if you had to choose one, it's kind of a toss-up. Pot of Greed is +1, Graceful Charity isn't a plus, but it does dig you 1 card deeper, and it sets up your graveyard. So obviously they're both very powerful. This is like a super Pot of Duality, a Pot of Duality on steroids. So pretty crazy card there. And then we have the awful, as sort of like a duality here, we have a very awful other card, the Griffin Wing, that just counters that 1 Harpy's Feather Duster that your opponent may or may not have. Yeah, this card is terrible. But I think the other 2 holographic cards are pretty good, especially for 2003 Yu-Gi-Oh! Standards. But definitely Graceful Charity, obviously one of the best cards ever released, even by 2020 standards. I can't believe we're saying that, but yeah, it's almost 2020. So anyway, for the common cards, of which there are 47, because this is back when starter decks were 50 cards, pretty crazy to think about. We have first Man-Eater Bug. Does that guy still come out in videos? There was one guy that used to always count out Man-Eater Bug. I don't know if he's still around, but oh man, what a powerful card. Destroys any monster on the field, broken. This can destroy Blue Eyes White Dragon. That's insane. We have Reinforcements. Give a increase 1 selected monster's attack by 500 points during the turn this card is activated. These old cards almost read like the bootleg cards that you see nowadays. It's actually pretty funny. We have Dream Clown. Pretty cool card. We have this card, which its name actually does look like Bakugan, and also it looks like a Bakugan, but that's not what it is. I remember this card always confused me back then. I don't even know what it does. It says Flip. After this card is flipped, offer as a tribute during your standby phase to destroy all monsters on your side of the field and inflict direct damage equal to half the total attack of the destroyed cards, excluding this monster, to your opponent's life points. Yeah, I guess I remember way back in the day, I don't really know what we did, but I remember that we didn't play with life points for the longest time, so cards like this wouldn't make a lot of sense to me. And we have Wabaku. Has this card ever been updated? This text is still very confusing. I'm sure this card, no, it's the super rare version, the Hollowed Life Barrier. That one has not had updated text ever, so this card does not really do what it says. So it says any damage inflicted by an opponent's monster is decreased to 0 during the turn this card is activated. So not only does it do that, but it also prevents your monsters from being destroyed during that battle phase, which is pretty crazy. So this card, I believe, has been updated, but the Hollowed Life Barrier, the super rare version of this card that has like a discard cost, I don't know why that card even exists, but that one I believe does not have an updated text. I remember playing Duel Links and pulling that card and realizing that even in Duel Links they still have not updated the text to actually make sense to anyone that's reading it just at face value. We have Manga Ryuran, pretty crazy there. I never understood why they call this one manga and they call the rest of them Tomb, but I'm sure someone maybe has an answer. We have Fissure. Oh man, what a great old school card. Destroys 1 opponent's face-up monster with the lowest attack. Actually pretty good removal for a long time. This card was limited even, so might not seem that crazy nowadays. Obviously not even as good as like Smashing Ground, which came out later, but for back in the day Yu-Gi-Oh! Was pretty darn good. And then we have Enchanted Javelin, yet another card that deals with life points exclusively, and yeah, I probably didn't play this card back in the day because I had no idea what it actually did. It is funny to think about, like, I don't know how games actually ended. I don't think they ever did end, but it's funny to think about that I played a game where there was no way to win or lose, and I just had so much fun that I played it the rest of my life. Who would have guessed? But it's pretty funny to think about. I had no idea how to play the game, but the cards just look so cool, and it's just so much fun just sort of throwing monsters at each other that I played it for a long time. Then we have the quick feet. Yeah, fast on its feet. This dinosaur rips enemies to shreds with its sharp claws. Wow, what a crazy card. We have a Ring of Magnetism, Blue Eyes Toon Dragon, very cool card. Looks better in holographic form. I think it has a couple holographic reprints. I believe the original is ultra rare, but man, that looks really cool. I like the artwork a lot. I don't think I've ever used Blue Eyes Toon Dragon in Thumbnail. Maybe I should do that sometime. It's pretty cool. We have Magic Jammer. Discard one card from your hand to the graveyard to negate the activation of a magic card and destroy it. What it says in the text. I'm surprised that this card never got eroded to be Spell Jammer. You know, once they changed magic cards to spell cards, this maybe should be Spelljammer, but I guess I never changed it. And then we have Dark Hole, which spoiler alert, actually might be in an upcoming video that I've been trying to work on. Actually, I almost had it completed, and then Master Rule 5 came out and people were like freaking out about that, so it's put on the back burner, but I'm gonna have a video about Dark Hole and Regeki in a couple days. Then we have Trap Hole, you know, a really good form of removal for old school Yu-Gi-Oh! If the attack of a monster summoned by your opponent, excluding special summon, is 1,000 points or more, the monster is destroyed. Wow, that text is fantastic. We have Muka Muka. I thought this card was broken back in the day. Turns out it's pretty bad. We have Illusionist Faceless Mage, classic. 5-star monster with barely higher stats than Giant Soldier of Stone. Okay, seems like a great deal to me. Toon Summon Skull, pretty cool version of Summon Skull. Honestly, the Toon monsters, you know, they have a bad rap and they're not like the best deck out there, but the artworks on these original Toon monsters are pretty darn cool. And we have Toon Alligator. For some reason, it's a normal monster, so it has no synergy with any other cards. We have Soul Release. Yeah, back in the day, you know, this didn't say banish. It says select up to 5 cards from either you or your opponent's graveyard and remove them from the current duel. It doesn't even say remove from play. A lot of these older banishing cards, not only did they not say banish, they also did not say remove from play. It just said remove them from the current duel. That was like the most permanent way to get rid of those cards. I don't know what the first card that interacted with those were. I wonder if it's Miracle Dig, though. I think I mean, it's not just like when BLS and stuff and Chaos Emperor Dragon came out. Like, it was before that card when we had more cards that interacted with banished cards, but I think it might have been Miracle Dig. Someone correct me if you actually know the right answer, though. I'd be curious to know what the first card that could sort of positively interact with banished cards actually was back in the day. And we have Stop Defense, 7 Tools of the Bandit, not as good as Wiretap, but still played for a little while. Can you believe that there was a time, not even too long ago, like 6 years ago, back in 2014, when not only was Wiretap being played at like 3 copies per deck, but some people even played 7 Tools of the Bandit in their main deck. So they played like 5 or 6 counter traps that all they did was negate other counter traps or negate other trap cards. That is just insane to me. What a weird time in Yu-Gi-Oh! History. We have Castle Walls, the opposite of reinforcements. We have Heroes Shadow Scout, which I believe is like limited or semi-limited in Duel Links, which is pretty funny. We have D-Spell, which seemed a lot better as a kid when I didn't realize that you couldn't just activate this in response to a spell card, back before we had any idea what spell speed was. I mean, obviously MST doesn't work like that either, but I really thought that this card was like a magic jammer that you could just play whenever. Turns out it is not that. It is much, much worse. We have Robin Goblin, and I think this is another card that I didn't really understand how it worked because it deals with life points. Yeah, I'm not saying I was the smartest kid back in the day. I don't even know. I wonder what I did with the rule book. I don't know if I even read it. I think I just like threw it away because I remember learning how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! By playing a Yu-Gi-Oh! Game Boy game, never reading a rule book or anything like that. We have Mask of Darkness. Get back those trap cards. Dian Keto, the Cure Master. Thank God it's not the terrifying OCG artwork. We have Black Pendant. This is one of my favorite equip spells from back in the day. We have Rogue Doll, 1600 attack. Toon Mermaid, pretty funny card. Rush Recklessy, obviously pretty much just subjectively better than Reinforcements, actually, when you think about it. 700 points, so 200 more, and it's also a quick play spell card, not a trap card. Kind of crazy that this card and Reinforcements are in the same starter deck when this one's so clearly better. Then we have Sonic Bird, search that Ritual Magic card. Monster Reborn, pretty cool cool card. I think this was in the Kaiba starter deck as well. You know, just a really classically good spell card. I feel like I said classic a lot in this video. I'm sorry. This deck's from 2003. All the cards are classic, but Monster Born obviously really good. Even played still to this day. Remove Trap, probably even worse than D-Spell. Probably even worse if it's not a quick play card, because at least if it was a quick play, you could hit something like I don't know, the Robin Goblin or the Call the Haunted. But yeah, Remove Trap and D-Spell are pretty darn bad, if I'm being completely honest. We have Ryu Ran, pretty funny there. We have Toon World. This card is activated by paying 1,000 of your life points, and I believe that the this card in the old Game Boy games, you actually had to pay life points during each of the standby phases as well. So it wasn't just like pay 1,000 life points, keep it on the board. You had to keep paying for it, so it was like way worse. I believe that was like a translation from the anime or something like that before the card actually came out. I'm not entirely sure, but I remember reading the history about that a way long time ago, why you had to keep paying life points in those old Game Boy games. But eventually they figured it out, and it just says the 1,000 activation. But the original Game Boy games, the first couple of ones, you have to continuously play for this card, so it's like even worse than it already is. We have Giant Soldier of Stone, which actually has 100 more attack than the level 5 monster, and it's level 3. So how about that? That 200, you are paying 2 extra stars. You're not paying 2 extra stars. You're paying 1 extra tribute, I should say, for 200 defense for a card that's already in your starter deck. Probably don't want to play that 5-star monster. Probably just stick to the Giant Soldier of Stone. Change of Heart, fantastic card. Black Illusion Ritual. So yeah, so this card says like it summons Relinquish. It's obviously what it says, but the Relinquish itself does not mention this card by name at all, and that is pretty funny to me. Hopefully, like I said, you just read the rulebook. Witch of the Black Forest. Oh man, what a good card. Gosh, this card, it really hasn't seen a lot of play since it came back. Compared to Sangan, this card, I mean, is obviously not nearly as good, but at least Sangan actually did see some play with its errata. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of Sangan, but I do have to admit it has seen some tournament success, maybe even in a couple of my own decks, but yeah, still a pretty cool card. Then we have Aqua Mador, one of my favorite older cards. I feel like I say that about a lot of cards, but this one definitely was really cool. Even the Neo Aqua Mador was pretty cool as well. 1 tribute for 3,000 defense, which totally steamrolls the 1 tribute for 2,200 defense that we previously saw on this deck. We have Yami. We have Ultimate Offering. You know, what a great banned card. The original text doesn't mention phases or anything. I believe that you can use this in your main phase, your opponent's battle phase. The original version does not mention that at all, so I guess you can use it whenever. We have Hain, pretty cool. And the last card, wow, a negation card for any spell or trap card. No, but Mystical Space Typhoon, pretty cool card, especially I think every single person in elementary school used this card to negate spells and traps, which is pretty funny in hindsight. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's starter deck opening. I've been sitting on this for like a couple months now, which is pretty crazy to think about. I was planning on opening this a long time ago. I just never got around to it. And yeah, that was all the Pasadena openings. I think I had 5 videos, and I think that you guys really enjoyed them, just judging from the comments. So I really appreciate you guys watching them. No, we're not a pack opening channel. Yes, I just said the line, but no, we're not a pack opening channel. But I really like this Yu-Gi-Oh history, and sometimes the best way to look at like old school Yu-Gi-Oh is opening really older, more rare products like this one. Anyway, though, I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Goodbye.